Today, what attachment style theory actually gets right? The mechanism beneath the labels, what the research says creates real change, and what most people skip when they do the quiz and move on. This is not the standard anxiety versus avoidance breakdown. This is the neuroscience. John Bowlby, British psychiatrist, 1950s and 60s. Core observation. Human infants are biologically predisposed to seek proximity to a primary caregiver. This serves an evolutionary function, keeping the vulnerable infant near protection. The quality of that early bond shapes the developing nervous system in ways that persist into adulthood. Mary Ainsworth operationalized Bowlby's theory. The strange situation: infant, caregiver, and stranger in a room. Caregiver leaves briefly, returns. How the infant responds on reunion identifies the attachment pattern. 3 original styles emerged: secure, anxious ambivalent, and avoidant. Mary Main later added disorganized. The caregiver was reliably available and responsive, not perfect, but consistent enough. The infant's nervous system learned. Reaching out gets a response. Distress is manageable. The caregiver can be returned to. In adult relationships, able to tolerate closeness and distance without significant destabilization. Can regulate emotional states without external co-regulation. The caregiver was inconsistently available, sometimes responsive, sometimes not, unpredictably. The infant's adaptive strategy: amplify attachment signals. Stay hypervigilant to cues of withdrawal. Increase proximity seeking to improve the odds of being noticed. In adults, preoccupation with relationship security, sensitivity to perceived withdrawal, tendency to interpret ambiguity as rejection. The caregiver was consistently unavailable, dismissive of emotional needs, or emotionally absent. The infant's adaptive strategy: deactivate attachment needs. Stop reaching out, because reaching out reliably fails. Become self-sufficient as a survival mechanism. In adults, emotional self-reliance, discomfort with expressed vulnerability, distance-creating behavior when relationships deepen. The caregiver was both the source of comfort and the source of fear, through trauma, abuse, severe mental illness, or extreme unpredictability. The infant cannot develop a coherent strategy, because the person who should resolve the threat is the threat. In adults, contradictory approach avoidance behavior, dissociative responses under stress, often linked to complex PTSD. The mechanism Bowlby described. Early experience with the caregiver builds an internal working model, a set of unconscious predictions about relationships. Will reaching out be met? Is closeness safe? Is the other person reliable? These predictions become the nervous system's default template for interpreting relational cues in every subsequent relationship. Hazan and Shaver, 1987. The same 3 attachment patterns found in infant-caregiver relationships appear in adult romantic attachments. A simple self-report measure identified which pattern respondents recognized in themselves. The styles showed the predicted correlations with relationship satisfaction, communication patterns, and fear of abandonment. The most important and most underused insight in attachment theory: the patterns are automatic nervous system responses, not deliberate choices, not personality traits, not character flaws. They activate at a speed faster than deliberate reasoning. The anxious person reaches for reassurance before they decide to. The avoidant person creates distance before they choose to. The most common and most stuck dynamic in dating: anxious-avoidant pairing. The anxious partner's proximity-seeking behavior activates the avoidant partner's deactivating response. The avoidance withdrawal activates the anxious partner's hypervigilance. Both partners are following their nervous systems exactly, and each is unintentionally confirming the other's worst prediction about relationships. Knowing your attachment style is anxious, avoidant, or disorganized does not change the automatic response. The pattern was built below the level of conscious reasoning, in the pre-verbal, pre-memory layers of early development. Labels are cognitive. The attachment pattern is precognitive. Reading about a pattern does not reach the layer where the pattern was built. Alexander and French introduced the concept in 1946. A corrective emotional experience is one where the person experiences an interpersonal situation differently from the original, where the expected negative outcome doesn't happen. In attachment terms, the anxious person reaches out and is consistently met. The expected abandonment doesn't arrive. Repeated exposure updates the nervous system's prediction. Attachment patterns are stored in the body, in the autonomic nervous system's arousal responses, in the musculoskeletal patterns of approaching or withdrawing, in the physiological signatures of threat activation. Purely cognitive approaches, talking about the pattern, understanding the history, often don't reach this layer. Somatic experiencing, EMDR, and body-based therapy work closer to where the pattern lives. Emotionally focused therapy, EFT designed specifically for couples, works with attachment cycles in the relationship. Research shows significant reduction in relationship distress and improvement in secure functioning. Internal family systems, IFS works with internal parts that carry attachment wounds. Schema therapy targets early maladaptive schemas, beliefs, and patterns developed in childhood, and provides reparenting experiences within the therapeutic relationship. Attachment is not deterministic. Research documents a category called earned secure, individuals who had insecure early attachment but developed more secure patterns through subsequent experience. A strong adult relationship with a securely attached partner, a good therapeutic relationship, or repeated corrective experiences in adult life can all contribute. The nervous system can update its predictions. Not quickly, but it can. Disorganized attachment has the strongest link to complex trauma and the most complex therapeutic pathway. The attachment figure was the source of both the threat and the only available comfort, creating approach avoidance conflict with no solution. Adult presentations often include difficulty tolerating both closeness and distance, dissociative responses under relational stress, and trauma responses that get activated by intimacy itself. If your pattern is anxious, the work is building a stable internal relationship with yourself that does not depend on partner responsiveness for nervous system regulation. This includes practices that support the nervous system directly, breath regulation, body awareness, somatic grounding, and choosing relational environments where consistent availability is more reliably present than intermittent. If your pattern is avoidant, the discomfort that arises when a relationship deepens is a trained nervous system response, not evidence of a wrong relationship or the wrong person. The work involves gradually tolerating increased closeness without activating the deactivating response, which requires exposure, not avoidance, in a safe relational context. Attachment style theory's key contribution: the patterns in adult relationships were built before conscious choice, in early caregiver experience, and they operate as automatic nervous system responses, not character traits. Labels don't shift them. Corrective experiences, somatic work, and targeted therapeutic approaches do. Knowing your attachment style is the beginning of understanding the pattern. Shifting it requires something your nervous system can feel. Full breakdown at realsyllabus.com.